Horns up and welcome to a brand new episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. My name is Sahil and winter is coming. But for me in Mumbai, where I live, winter basically means 20 degrees Celsius. That's like the British summer. But nonetheless, if it is cold where you live, soups and stews are perfect for this kind of weather. In fact, I have made a playlist for all my soup and stew recipes. Click here on the I button and watch it. As for today's recipe, we are going to be making a very decadent and keto friendly cream of cauliflower soup, and it is going to be delicious. In fact, it is so warming and hearty that it will revive the cockles of your cold dead heart as well. Anyway, enough jibber jabber, let's get cooking. So we're going to start by prepping our cauliflower, and the first step is to remove the leaves of the cauliflower. And if your cauliflower has a good set of leaves, you can actually save them and saute them with some butter and garlic and get a nice side dish. However, that was not the case with my cauliflower, so I had already removed most of them. The next step is to remove the cauliflower florets. Now I personally prefer to cut off the florets rather than just randomly hack at the cauliflower because it can get quite messy. So use your knife and cut the florets away from the cauliflower stalk, and you can also use your hands and just separate the florets from each other. And then finally you should be left with the stalk of the cauliflower, which I'm just going to trim the edges off and then cut it into pieces because we don't want to waste any of the cauliflower. We want to use as much of it as possible. Once the cauliflower has been prepped, I'm going to get a pot on the stove and I'm going to heat up some avocado oil. And of course, if you don't have avocado oil, use any cooking fat that is keto friendly. Into the avocado oil, I'm going to add a generous portion of butter because butter will add richness and flavor. And as the butter is melting, I'm going to add in some onions. And now we're just going to cook these onions down till they become nice and soft. And this should take a couple of minutes at best. You can also really caramelize the onions if you want to bring out their sweetness. Put it on a really low heat and cook it low and slow till the onions start to turn fully brown and caramelized. But since that's not what I'm looking to do for this soup in particular, I'm just looking to get them nice and translucent. Once the onions have turned translucent and softened a bit, I'm going to turn the heat up and add in my cauliflower. And I'm going to give it a good mix. Now the idea here is to spread my cauliflower out, and I'm turning the heat up because I almost want to char the cauliflower, like get it nice and brown and sort of bring out that roasty flavor of it. Of course, you can always roast your cauliflower separately and make this soup, but I'm just trying to make less work for myself. So I'm just going to keep it in that pan on a nice high heat and let the cauliflower start to get some color. Now while that's happening, I'm also going to throw in some garlic cloves, some fresh thyme, a vegetable stock cube, some nutmeg powder, some black pepper powder. And I'm going to give it all a good mix and let that cauliflower continue to start to get some color on it. Once again, this should take 3 or 4 minutes on a highish heat, and you will see the bottom of the pan start to get some color, turn brown, maybe even a dark brown. And at that point, I'm going to add in about half a liter of water. Actually, I'm going to add in a little more than half a liter, just enough to sort of cover my cauliflower. And of course, give it all a good mix. Make sure the bottom of the pan is scraped by your spoon and the fond is removed, and you get a lovely rich looking stock with that cauliflower. And then just cover it and let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. After about 10 to 15 minutes, I need to check if my cauliflower is done. So just pick it up with your spoon and run your knife through it, and it should cut through the cauliflower like butter. That means the cauliflower is cooked and ready to puree. Now I'm going to scoop out all the cauliflower and onions and put it into my food processor. Get it all out of there, and we're going to make a lovely rich puree out of this. Obviously get all of that cauliflower into the food processor, then blitz it. And of course, if it gets stuck, just make sure you put your spoon in and move things around because you want a nice smooth puree. And then once most of the cauliflower has pureed, you're going to pour in the rest of the stuff from the pot into the blender. and blitz it, and you should get a beautiful, rich, silky, smooth soup. But it's only going to be silky and smooth once you strain it. Then I'm just going to strain the soup through a sieve, and this is what's going to give you that real silky smooth texture in the soup, because any vegetable fibers that have not been blitzed up properly will get stuck in the sieve. And of course, make sure you get everything from the bottom of the sieve as well. Don't waste any of that stuff. And now we've got a beautiful smooth cauliflower soup already, but things are just heating up. So now I'm going to finish the soup with some heavy cream, and this is going to give it that added richness, also some oomph to the soup, and a little extra fat macros. So give that all a good mix. You can bring the heat back up onto low. The reason I'm not doing that is because the cream I'm using splits quite easily, but if you live anywhere outside India and you get nice double cream or heavy cream, you won't have that problem. You can boil the cream also, no problem. And of course, make sure you check your soup for seasoning. Mine needed some salt and pepper because I had used a low sodium stock cube. Anyway, I seasoned my soup with a little salt and pepper and it was perfect. Now I wanted to take the soup to another level, and I had some slow aged carefully cheese which was in my house. So I crumbled that into my soup, because that cheese is almost like a funky blue cheese but not as blue as blue cheese, and it would just add like some cheesy goodness to the soup. Of course, this is completely optional. You don't need to add cheese if you don't want to. I do, however, so I added it. Anyway, I gave it a final good mix and it was ready. And now it's time to serve the soup, and I decided to crack some fresh black pepper over the soup. And then a little secret again, I grated a hazelnut. Yup, you can use any nuts you like, walnuts, pine nuts, you can just toast them and throw them over. But I wanted to grate it to just give it like that finesse, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I finished it off with some fresh parsley, and that's it. My cream of cauliflower soup, or my keto cauliflower soup, is ready, and it looks delicious. Anyway, enough jibber jabber, time to taste. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to taste the cream of cauliflower soup, and it is creamy indeed. And I'm just going to dig in. Whoa, that is creamy. Okay, and those hazelnuts add a beautiful crunch on top. You know what would make this even better? Some crispy bacon on top. Wow, this is delicious, guys. I really hope you guys are going to make this at home. Let me know how you like it. And you know what? I will see you on the next episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. And before I go, I must let you know, there are a lot of little tips and tricks about this recipe that I haven't mentioned and that I would like to share. You know, like things you can substitute if you want to be dairy free, things to enhance the flavors in terms of spices, etc. And all that information will be on the blog post on headbangerskitchen.com. Link just below the video in the description box. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. I'll see you on the next episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. Cheers and keep cooking. Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you have been living under a rock, my brand new recipe book called Keto Life with my 100 best recipes is out now worldwide. Link to purchase this is in the video description box just below this video. Oh, and I'm also a musician. If you'd like to listen to some of my music, click here. If you're more interested in cooking, just click here and watch another recipe video. Thank you very much.